Hello, this is Max, and I guess this is Arrowhertz for now. Although I'm considering changing the name of the channel to make it more reflective of current things and make it make more sense. Because, I mean, come on, really. The hell's an Arrowhertz? So, I'm going to change the format of my videos. I think it's about time, just for simplicity, just so I can just get things done, I guess. Uh, for the most part, the videos are still going to be what I want them to be, I guess. I mean, the channel is supposed to be Warhammer and Warhammer related things and a cast of other stuff and such, but I'm going for just whatever I want because lately Warhammer for me has been kind of put aside. I've not really been too interested in it lately. I mean, I'm not giving it up. At least maybe not. Who knows? Who knows what we're doing with that one? But I mean, I'm just not doing anything with it. I mean, here I've put my table away and I've got like the whole kitchen table kind of setup going on. But still, I mean, Warhammer is a cool thing. I was trying to make a little animation on my 3DS like last year or whatever or something like that. So, I mean, I'm still interested in Warhammer, and also what is it? May 20th, 2015, International Draw the Prophet Muhammad as a Space Marine slash Warhammer 40,000 character. Yeah. Well, anyway, on to better news, because Warhammer is done. All right. On to better news with a sip of coffee. Ah, good old coffee. Okay. So, here we have Pokemon. Yeah, I'm getting back into Pokemon. And I guess with the new Pokemon game coming out soon, or Pokemon games, to be honest about it, or more, I guess, more accurate about it, because they always come in pairs, right? So there's gonna be, what is it, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, I think, or is it Alpha Ruby and Omega Sapphire? It's one of those. Just correct me in the comments, or I'll make an annotation, whatever. But there's the remakes of Ruby and Sapphire, and I'm pretty sure that was either Game Freak or Nintendo or Pokemon Company. Somebody was saying that these games weren't going to be remakes; they were going to be brand new games. But it seems entirely based off of the ads and trailers that it's just going to be a remake of those games with the additional features of Mega Evolution and all this different stuff. So I guess from one perspective, sure, it's a new game, but honestly, if it's just a remake with all the new features, it's just a remake with all the new features. I mean, call it what it is. It's just another Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Leaf Green, Fire Red kind of situation when they're just slapping like a different thing into the title, so all the new features, and making out a new with an old game. I mean, I don't know. I'm probably still gonna get it. That's not. I'm not trying to rip on that, but I mean, yeah. So I'm getting back into Pokemon again, and I'm playing that. I'm leveling up the original 150 Pokemon, and so I started drawing and making up some Pokemon while I was at work. I'm just bored and stuff like that. So here are some old pictures I have. I was making some Pokemon. These are like years old, but I've got some newer ones that I'll bring back and take some pictures of. But what do we have? Pokemon. What was it? I think it was it a few years ago. Me and this guy, we were making this Pokemon region, and it was like, I mean, it was really, I was the one that was making the drawings and all these Pokemon. Like, he made a few of them, but I was like refining them and stuff like that, and like coming up with these ideas. Like, uh, this first one here, we've got what is it? the Panite. I mean, some of these are really just basic, simple things. I mean, like, they're not. Don't expect these to be like just absolutely fucking mind blowing, right? Like, some of them are probably gonna just be like, oh, you thought of that, so did I, And but it doesn't really matter. Just they're just for fun, right? Panite, it's a dark Pokemon. It's just like a panther. It's essentially just kind of like a dark Persian. If there was a Persian that was just dark type instead of normal type, that's what I would kind of say it would be roughly the same as. But I guess maybe a bit stronger because it has some prior forms. It's an evolved Pokemon of a third stage. There's Duscat and E-Kitten or E-Clitten or whatever. I think it's E-Kitten because the second one, that didn't sound good. And then the first one I made, I was just doodling, and it wasn't even really a Pokemon at first. I was just making just a monster. I was just like, I'm really, really fucking bored, and I'm just gonna make a little doodle monster that's gonna be my doodle monster kind of thing, kind of like Digimon actually. How a lot of the characters in Digimon were just kind of like making up some random little fictional thing as their buddy or friend or something like that on a piece of paper or in a computer, and then that ended up being like their Digimon or. So this was my first Pokemon, and I kind of have that I guess that attachment to it. Sure, yeah. If Pokemon were real, these guys would be my Pokemon. So this is Boilum and Steeman, his evolved form, which I kind of came up with later because I was like, oh, I better make him evolve. So what is it? They're volcanic rock. Like, what is it? And when volcanoes shoot out rocks and the rocks land in the water, a lot of those rocks will get some air pockets in it, and they'll be really spongy. So that's what these guys pretty much are. They're just this spongy rock that absorb water, and they're really hot, right? So what Boilums do is they live in volcanoes or in them and on them, around them and all that, and sometimes around islands and sometimes in the water. And they climb the volcanoes, and then when the volcanoes erupt, they get launched out into the water, and they absorb the water to be able to go back up the volcano or something like that. Essentially, that would be, if there were a Pokemon, it would be like a rock fire type Pokemon with water absorb, which would be fucking amazing. I mean, it would be like, oh man, that's way too good. It's like, yeah, but this is like on a Geodude, So I mean, really, and then it evolves into this into a train whistle, into a steam train whistle, where it gets rid of the I'm pretty sure it gets rid of the rock type and gets steel type, and it loses the water absorb. I forget what ability it was, but then what was it? Moving on, this one is kind of a bit dark, I guess, because not a lot of Pokemon really do this, but this one's just a straight up tombstone. It's a grave marker. Like, this is the Pokemon that you'd see in a cemetery that's pretending to be someone's grave. Like, that's kind of fucked up. But you know what? Pokemon's fucked up from the very start, so don't get at me for making something fucked up, because Pokemon's fucked. So, moving on, this next Pokemon, this was my buddy's Pokemon at the time. I made the third stage because I wanted to make it like radically different. He just kind of designed what the first one looked like, and then I kind of redid it. It's kind of like, they look kind of like black mages, I guess. They're like black mages that have like leaves on them and stuff, and they live in the forest. And then they evolve into this like berry king, and I forget what they were. They were like dark grass or something like that. I forget if there was anything cool about them. I think they stole stuff from people, and they made things out of leaves. See, a lot of Pokemon people make up. Eventually, sometimes someone at Nintendo or Game Freak is gonna think of the same thing, and I'm pretty sure that there's a Pokemon that makes things out of leaves. So I don't remember if that came out prior to me making these pictures. I don't know who beat who, but I mean, obviously they beat me. It's not like I have my Pokemon fucking published or anything, and it's not like they will be if I am making them and don't work for them. But whatever, let's just stop with the little rant there and just continue with the pictures. Yeah. So then I made some Eevees. You know, everyone's got to have Eevees. Sorry for the pictures being sideways. But there was Mistion and Steamion because I was wanting to make like a new type for this area, which would be Steam type, right? Because I figured it would be just some different thing. So there was those two different Eevees. One was like invisible all the time, or it was like made of steam or made of like mist or whatever. I forget which one was which. And then I've got I made a myself for the Pokemon region. I guess that's how I wanted myself to look. But I don't know. That's how I looked at the time. You know, I was back with my ponytail, and when I would wear like that shirt and stuff. That was actually probably based off what I was wearing that day when I drew it. And we got some old sketches here. Oh yeah, and I made the starter bird, like the Pidgey or Spearow or whatever for my Pokemon region, like the one that you would get at the start of the thing, was there's going to be this thing called Wood Pie. And it was going to be this grass flying type Pokemon. And when it would evolve, it would light on fire and become Magpie. And so it would be this burning fire flying Pokemon. And I remember people were like, Pokemon don't change types like that. And it's like, well, you know what? This one does. This one, it's like a dried out twig bird that turns into a blazing phoenix bird kind of thing. And we've got, so I wanted to make some inanimate Pokemon. And so I made a magician's wand and top hat. I was going to make a cape, but then I couldn't really figure out how I could make a hat evolve into a cape. That just, I don't know. Perhaps I wasn't being imaginative enough. I don't know. But I think it was Presto and Magnifico. There would be these kind of Italian sounding names, I guess. Even though that's just Presto, Alakazam is just just magic names. And yeah, they would be kind of like Geodude, Voltorb. How Voltorbs apparently, even though there's pictures that that kind of get in the way of this, but Voltorb showed up due to Pokeballs being invented. Pokeballs being invented made whatever Pokemon decide to camouflage itself as a Pokeball, and that Pokemon became Voltorb. So this Pokemon, it disguised itself as magician's tools, and I guess eventually they became what they are. Other than that, what else do we have? I made some legendary Pokemon. See, when they made the three swordsman Pokemon, like Keldeo and stuff, I was kind of thinking like, oh wow, that sounds kind of like I made a sword Pokemon, and what was it? One of them is the Pokemon that like caused. I was kind of going a bit like too big for my britches here, and I made it so like the male one was going to be the one that caused the Pokemon War, and then the female sword was going to be the one that soothed the war and stopped it, being based off of Excalibur, and the other one being based off of the Singing Sword. And I don't know, those were kind of lame, but I guess that was just what that region has. They have those two Pokemon that started and stopped the war. Other than that, what do we got? We've got some of the last ones here. Sorry for being sideways again. These were wood nymph Pokemon and like Tiki Pokemon. They're these wood sprites that kind of turn into this kind of, I guess, Hawaiian style thing, and it's a ghost grass type. It kind of looks like Celebi at first, I think, and then it turns into something more specific to what it's trying to be. And then I made some snake Pokemon. I'm not sure if they're just the same Pokemon, but just different breeds of them, or if they're gonna be opposites like Zangoose and Seviper kind of thing. But there's Pesihis and Optihis, which are just like a pessimist snake and an optimist snake kind of thing, and I guess they both have their different things. I don't know. I didn't really make too much about them. It was just one of them's a sad snake and one of them's a proud snake. That's really it about those two. It's just that simple. So I guess we'll figure out what they do. And then this one was my favorite, actually, one of my favorites. So it's an alligator and or crocodile or whatever, and crocodiles will generally kind of drift through rivers and lakes. Sometimes they're underneath, but I mean when you look at them when they're shown, you see them kind of just showing their backs, and they kind of look like logs. So this is one that has a log that's attached to its back, and it uses that for camouflage. It has this log that's drifting through a river or whatever, and some bird Pokemon or whatever, or squirrel Pokemon, jumps onto the log to try to get across, and then like an alligator or crocodile, he flips over and then takes his prey underneath the water and then just spins them around and gets them like that. So he's a camouflaged alligator. So yeah, that's kind of what I had for that. And yeah, I guess those are my Pokemon. I have some more that I'm working on at work, which I guess while I'm not working. What is it? I guess just to see what I had at the time. I mean, I had some names for a few of them, but some of them I guess they're just kind of like prototype names, whatever. But there was one of them was a psychic pencil. What else did we have there? Okay, so there was a psychic pencil. I think I had a fist fighting strawberry. Like there was like a strawberry apple punch Pokemon or something like that. And then whoa, what else? There were some of these were just bizarre things that I was just left field just coming up with, and I was like, there's a Pokemon, you know. Either way, I'll take some snapshots of them. I'll put them into the video next week or whatever. But I don't know what's going on in my life. Let's see. Well, for the last few months, I've been in the worst fucking mood ever. I've just been fuck the world and fuck everything, right? And I'm not sure if I really can attribute it to it, but I guess this is just my mind, I guess, just justifying it. What is it? For the last few years, I've there's been this there's been this kind of not even on again, off again relationship between me and this woman. And well, I guess it's never really gotten off the ground. What it was I was interested in her and she was interested in me, and she wasn't ready for a relationship. Now, I mean, I've read into this and I've discussed this with people, and I know what that means, what not ready for a relationship really means, and it's not just speculation, it's the truth. Because after years of being essentially led on, which I guess is kind of my own fault for not kind of seeing it sooner and just moving on and just going for whatever. But I mean, for years, I mean, I feel like I've been led on and lied to, and now this person is in a relationship, but with someone else. And worst about that is that this person, I mean, I see them almost every day. And fuck, it sucks. It sucks. And it really pisses me off. It really pisses me off. And I guess for a few different reasons, I'll throw them out there because, I mean, why not? Probably because I guess I'm jealous. Not that I'm jealous of that person, but I'm probably more jealous of the other person that they're seeing technically, because I wanted to see them. But I mean, there's that. I'm mad that I was lied to, but also now after it all, I've actually discovered a lot more about this person, and now I find them completely reprehensible. I find them just disgusting, because I mean, now that I see how I was lied to on that level, I found out all these other levels that I was lied to on, I mean. And that's bullshit. I really feel like I was misled and just fucking I don't know. Just pissed off, I guess. So that's my rant on that, but we'll see how that goes. And so I've decided. Well, I'm not sure if I've decided. I'm really. I have decided that I'm doing this. Well, I was talking with a buddy of mine, and he was telling me to quit smoking. He was saying he was really strongly suggesting for me to quit smoking, and he had just read this book, the only way to quit smoking permanently, by by some guy. I don't remember his name because that wasn't the important part during the discussion. Sorry, guy who wrote the book. That's the shout out that you're getting at the moment, unfortunately. Um, so we were having this discussion about smoking, and he was essentially saying, well, no one wants to be a smoker. I mean, no one started out to be a smoker going, you know what? I think I'm going to grow up and I want to be a smoker. I think I'm going to, yeah, a few packs a day, yeah. I mean, no one started off that way. It's usually, through someone else, right? Like everyone can probably think back to a first cigarette that they had where, I mean, they probably didn't buy themselves the cigarette. It was probably given to them by someone else who smokes. And yeah, for me, that was true. I can remember, I think when I was in high school, I was given a cigarette to try, and I didn't like it. And then later on in high school, I used to share cigarettes, and then when I started working, I was given a few by some of the other people who worked there. And then, you pick it up and you start smoking. So that's something we started talking about, and how really there's so many different things that keep people smoking, and most of them are just excuses and traps. Like the person who says, "Oh, well, I just have one a day," or "Oh, I like the taste," or whatever. And I mean, like, can you think back to the first cigarette you had, and did you like the way it tasted? Right? No, you had to train yourself to smoke cigarettes, right? You actually had to teach yourself and learn and get better at smoking, right? You took like that first few puffs of the cigarette and you were like, oh, that was nasty. Oh man, I bet I'll get better at it after a few more of these, right? Like, but why? Why would you want to? I mean, because then later on, someone becomes dependent on them. But I mean, when they really didn't need them in the first place, and they would feel better without them. So, not to now just lecture people in this video based off of this other guy's book or whatever. And I mean, I guess to be fair, just forget what I said and go buy that guy's book. Just don't listen to what I just said. But yeah, I might try to do that again. I might try to quit smoking. I'm trying to, I guess, change the whole image. It was at first it really was a social experiment, I guess, like a sociology experiment. Because I've been watching a lot of Sargon of Akkad videos and Thunderfoot, and a lot of and a lot of videos. I've been watching a lot of videos. And for years, I hadn't had a haircut for years actually, and so I went and got a haircut. Not because I mean, one, I actually did want to. I mean, it was summer. It was fucking hot, so I went and got a haircut. But I was also doing it as kind of a social experiment because I wanted to see how people would react compared to how people would treat me prior to that. And I was just thinking, like, there's general, I don't know how, I'm not sure if I might be wording this correctly. I guess like social norms or stereotypes, and I think maybe it's gender dimorphism. I might be just generalizing, so bear with me on this one and grit your teeth. I mean, so I honestly felt that I had a lot of trouble with how do I don't want to say like fishing for compliments, but that's almost kind of what it is. I mean, like, I have, I don't want to say I'm an attention whore, but then hey, I've got a YouTube video and a channel. But I wouldn't be never a person who people would approach, talk to or about, compliment, etc. And then, the moment I get a haircut, all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, hey, you look great, Max. Oh, well, thank you. Oh, a nice haircut. Oh, you look a lot better. Oh, you look so handsome. Oh, wow. And these are things that were never said prior. Never. And it almost affirmed to me that I was not acceptable with like long hair with the ponytail, right? Like it's like men can't have that, right? And it was like I was finally socially acceptable once I had a haircut and kind of fit into the boy haircut kind of thing. So that was just a social test, and unfortunately for a lot of these women, a lot of them failed. They failed. Bail. I don't know why I'm doing Bale impressions or whatever. I guess that's the guy from like Diablo 2 or whatever. Okay, we'll just get off of that one. But yeah. I mean, a lot of them were all of a sudden oh hey hey Max, you're pretty handsome now, and it's like, oh, thank you. Let's reverse those situations and see how that gets looked at and how that gets talked about. Right? So, yeah, I don't know about that one, to be absolutely honest about that. But that was my little social test. So now, I mean, if people are watching this and if they know me, they might be able to spread the word unintentionally, I guess, or maybe intentionally, because they'll probably want to ruin it for me. But now on to phase 2. So now is the moment of getting the new shoes and the new attitude and getting all of the complete new body re-image, just complete restyling, just bringing back to factory default and setting a new theme, and just going from there and seeing how that goes, just confusing everybody the fuck out, and yeah, I think that will probably be something that I'm going to be doing in the soon future. I've got the nice new pair of skate shoes, and I got I like my new hat that I've had for a little. It's not too new. I've had it for a little while now. I'm gonna get a new jacket and shit. Right? Gotta get that shit, son. Right? But yeah. So I think I'm gonna wrap it up with that, and don't forget to tip your waitresses. Peace.